Welcome back. You are listening to Metaphysical Global News and Talk Radio. Welcome back to Metaphysical Global News and Talk Radio, providing you with breaking news stories affecting the world and walking you down the rabbit hole into the world of strange phenomena. Today is Sunday, May 7th, and here is your daily business and tech news. Marvel Studios' Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, the sequel to the 2014 hit, brought in an estimated $145 million in the US this weekend. That makes it Marvel's 15th straight #1 opening at the domestic box office. The studio has never had a movie not open on top. The space adventure starring Chris Pratt and Zoe Saldana has also been a big hit for Disney's studio globally. Since opening overseas more than a week ago, the movie has nabbed about $428 million in total worldwide sales. Uber, flying cars, and a PR disaster. Last week, Uber teased ambitious plans to develop a network of flying cars by 2020. The press event briefly redirected the media's attention to the skies at a time when Uber is bombarded with PR crisis on the ground. But the wheel of PR misfortune has resumed spinning. Uber is now reportedly the subject of a criminal probe from the Department of Justice over a tool it built to help drivers dodge law enforcement in cities like Portland, Oregon, where Uber was not allowed. Uber and the Justice Department declined to comment on the investigation. We support the criminal investigation by the United States Department of Justice into Uber's use of the Greyball tool to evade regulators, and will continue to move forward with our own efforts to subpoena the requested records from Uber. Portland Commissioner Dan Saltzman. More than 1 million of the new Galaxy S8 phones have been ordered in advance in South Korea, setting a new record for Samsung's home market. Company spokesman Eric Sohn said, "The headline number is welcome news for Samsung. This is the first high-end smartphone the tech giant has rolled out since the debacle over its fire-prone Galaxy Note 7. A bungled recall cost the company more than $5 billion and ultimately forced it to kill off the Note 7. Now analysts say Samsung needs a flawless launch for the S8, but Samsung seems to be having some more issues. Some users of the new Samsung S8 smartphone are seeing red, literally. The company is issuing new software for the S8 after customers complained of red-tinted display screens. The update comes just days after Samsung launched its flagship phone in the US and South Korea. Follow up on these stories by visiting CNN Tech and CNN Money at CNN.com. And after Apple's recent decision to withhold royalty payments for its technologies in iPhones, chipmaker Qualcomm is reportedly planning to ask the Washington, D.C. based International Trade Commission to prevent importation of the devices into the U.S. Apple relies on Asia-based manufacturers to produce its flagship smartphones and is already reported to be experiencing supply challenges ahead of its next big iPhone launch, expected in the fall. Citing a person familiar with the company's strategy, Bloomberg reported Wednesday that Qualcomm is preparing to ask the ITC to block the new iPhones from entering the US. Meanwhile, Qualcomm is facing multiple lawsuits recently filed against it by Apple in the US and China, as well as allegations of unfair practices filed in January by the Federal Trade Commission. Google appears to have shut down a phishing scam that this week tricked numerous Gmail users into accepting bogus invitations to share a Google Doc with people they know. However, it's possible that those who fell for the scam, as well as anyone in their email contacts, could be targeted in the future phishing schemes. The Google Docs worm, as security experts are describing it, presented Gmail recipients with a legitimate-looking email that said one of their contacts had invited them to view a shared file in Google Docs. Upon clicking the email, however, users were directed to a link that appeared to come from Google Docs, but actually gave an unverified third-party app access to their email accounts and contacts. Yesterday, Google said that it had disabled offending accounts, removed fake pages, and taken steps to prevent this kind of spoofing from happening again. The company also began rolling out a new security feature for Gmail on Android that will show a phishing warning if a user clicks suspicious links and messages. Learn more about that at toptechnews.com. A secretive U.S. Air Force spaceplane landed in Florida early May 7th after spending nearly 2 years in orbit on a classified mission. The X-37B landed at the shuttle landing facility at NASA's Kennedy Space Center. A runway 4.5 kilometers long previously used for landings by the space shuttle, the Air Force did not disclose the exact landing time, but announced the landing in a tweet shortly before 8 a.m. Eastern Time. The X-37B had been in orbit on a mission designated Orbital Test Vehicle OTV-4 since its launch on the Atlas V from Cape Canaveral Air Force Station, Florida. On May 20th, 2015, the Air Force disclosed prior to the launch that the OTV-4 mission would carry a Hall-effect electric thruster developed by Aerojet Rocketdyne and a material science experiment provided by NASA, but did not disclose other plans for the mission. See more at spacenews.com. Today's program was brought to you by our proud sponsor, Scion Properties, helping to provide rental housing for families nationwide. They can help you to work around past evictions, bankruptcies, and many other challenges. Contact them by visiting scionproperties.com. Another special thanks to Zello, PTT Systems, and SoundCloud for allowing us to stream freely, as well as other podcasting sponsors. Stay tuned for the latest breaking news in the world of strange phenomena. Thank you for listening to Metaphysical News and Talk Radio.